So good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is doing wonderful. I am Gone Job. I am the Western Sector Planner from Baltimore County Department of Planning. And this is meeting number 1 out of 3 scheduled meetings to discuss the Liberty Road Design Guidelines and the DRP area designation. So without further ado, let's review the agenda for tonight. So first step, we'll go into the introduction. We do have new members today, so I would like to introduce them. Then we'll get into the survey results. We have had a open survey for about 10 days, so we will review the results today. Then we'll get into discussion on how to, get more specific design elements. Then we'll get into meeting date proposal. You'll see that the next meeting dates have been changed, or I'm asking to change them, and I would like to hear your input, and then we'll open the floor to questions. So the members are Kelly Carter from Liberty Road Business Association. Kelly, are you in today? I haven't seen Kelly. Maybe she wasn't able to make it. We also have Shirley Supik from Liberty Road Community Council, Mildred Owen from Liberty Manor Community Association, Devon Parks from Stony Brook Community Association, Mr. Aaron Plema from Combined Communities Advocacy Council, Martha Nathanson from Northwest Hospital, Justin Rosemore, ARLS Properties LLC, Cecily Bedwell, Baltimore County DRP member, and we have members of the Liberty Road Clean, Safe, and Green Committee, India Artist, Sheila Lewis, Stephanie Hobman, Pat Durfee, and Jamelia Blount. For new members, we have 5 new members that have joined the committee. I will say their name, and I would ask them please to introduce themselves. I have Linda Dorsey Walker, member of Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee. She serves on the executive committee as secretary and is Maryland Democratic Party Executive Board liaison. Linda, are you available? Linda, you may want to unmute yourself. We cannot hear you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Dorsey Walker, and I'm a member, as she said, of the Baltimore County State Central Committee. 6 terms I've now served, 3 of them representing the 10th Legislative District and 3 on the 11th District. And I look forward to working with each of you. And my memory goes all the way back to the early days of Liberty Road and Randallstown having charrette meetings before there was a current Randallstown Community Center. So I'm looking forward to this next phase.
Thank you, Linda. We also have Danielle Smith. Danielle, are you available?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Danielle Smith, and I too am a member of the Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee. And good evening to everyone.
Good evening, thank you. Denny Blount. Denny is a member of the Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee for Legislative District 10. He serves as Bylaws Committee Chair. Is Denny here?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Danny Blount. I am on the Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee, District 10. I've also been a part of the Liberty West and the UDAC committees that were here in Randallstown. I would say back in, I guess, maybe 2010, 2009, 8. And just looking forward to really trying to get these things implemented that was started back at that time. So looking forward to what you guys are presenting to our district once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. We have Mr. Chapman, member of Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee for Legislative District 44B. Mr. Chapman.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Bishop Barry Chapman. I'm also a member of the Villanova Community Association. I've been in the Villanova community since 1986 and made it my home, which is a wonderful community. I hope the characteristics of it never changes. I'm a Maryland businessman who's involved in a lot of different business ventures, but I'm very concerned about my community and how it goes forward, and will lend my support to making it a quality life for everyone.
Thank you. And we have George White.
Well, good evening. Again, thanks for having me. Just to kind of add, I live in the Paul's Crossing area, Canfield and Sudbrook area. I've been a county resident for probably over 30 years, probably less than most. But I enjoy doing community work. I'm also the photographer for the Northwest Voice newspaper, Kenneth Brown publisher. And I just enjoy doing what we do. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. White. I do also have Baltimore County representatives. I'm not sure whether Councilman Julian Jones is here or not. I do have Kirk Mitchell and Michelle Bernstein from Office of Community Engagement, Jeff Perlow from the Zoning Review Office, Jim Herman from Baltimore County Landscape. He's the Baltimore County Landscape Architect. From the Department of Public Works, I have Sam Smith, Jesse Bilek, and Daniel Allen. Mr. White, could you please mute yourself?
Sure can.
Thank you. From the Department of Economic and Workforce Development, I have Jessica Normington and Todd Dolbin. And then I have various staff from the Department of Planning, Amy Mente, Christopher Weaver, Miles Mulherberger, Tisheng Huang, Brooks Phelps, and myself, Ngonejo. So we had an open survey between October 19 and October 30th. We had 7 questions that we asked the community in order to get a sense of perception, aspiration, and vision for the Liberty Road focus area. And we received 531 responses. So that is amazing for such a short time frame. So thank you to everybody who responded. Thank you to everybody who helped spread the word. So I'm gonna go ahead and go question by question, and then we're gonna review the result. So the first question that was asked was, what is your relationship to the Liberty Road focus area? So before I get into the result, I would like to remind you about the focus area, which is the central part of Liberty Road. It goes from I-695 to approximately Greens Lane. And specifically, we are studying the shopping centers within that focus area. And we have 8 total shopping centers. So this is what we received. We received that 70% of the responders live in the focus area. The other ones, 187 responses, visit the area, 184 pass through the area. The second question that was asked was, how would you characterize the focus area? 75% say that the focus area is dated. 58% say that it's run down. And only 3% said that it was beautiful. Question number 3 was, which set of architecture palette would you like to see more in the focus area, as in terms of colors and material? 288 responses, which is about 54%, says that they would like to see warm material. 29% say natural materials, and then the rest was cool material. In terms of warm materials, I want to show you examples of what you chose. It includes terracotta brick, red color, natural stone, and warm stained wood, such as tan and brown colors. So question number 4 was, what is your impression of the signage that currently exists in this area? And 62% says that it's dated. 11% says that it's out of character. And then 10% says that it's overdone. Question number 5, what is your impression of the landscaping that currently exists in the focus area? And we do have 83% that says it's inconsistent and sparse, while 5% says that it's consistent and adequate. So the rest of the questions were like open-ended, where we asked, for question number 6, we asked, are there aspects of cultural or historic significance and or natural resources in the area that should be highlighted? So for cultural and historic aspects, most of the responses were that they would like to see the rich African American culture of the area. They would like to see stone buildings and architecture, the Underground Railroad House, the AME Church on corner of Liberty and Rolling Road, Fieldstone and Randallstown, the history of Liberty Road, or add historic signage for all the historic resources. And for natural resources aspect, what should be highlighted include stones of the area, granite and flagstone, all open spaces, neighborhood parks, streams, Gateway Park, Green Oak Park. So question number 7 included, if you were to include an area of Liberty Road on a postcard, which area would that be? So we had, these are the areas that came in at the top: Randallstown Stone Wall and the welcome sign, Liberty Reservoir, the Life Bridge Health and Surrounding.
Can't hear you.
Seems like we may have lost Danae for a moment. Let's see if she comes back.
Can you hear me?
Now,
No.
yes.
Well, we can hear you now. We lost you after when you mentioned the postcard.
All right, so I'm gonna start the postcard again.
Okay.
Okay, so what area would you include in a postcard for Liberty Road? These are the areas that were included in the responses: Randallstown Stone Wall and the welcome sign, Liberty Reservoir, Life Bridge Health and surrounding areas, the areas between Brook and Green Lane and McDonough, Fieldstone Community, and the historic churches. I'm still good. Everybody can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So for question number 8, which is the last question that was asked in the survey, we asked, how do you picture this area in the next 20 years? So most of the responses were run down if nothing is done, and then vibrant and beautiful. So I would like to devote the next 30 minutes into discussion. The first 10 minutes, I would like to hear input about specific architectural materials and colors. The following 10 minutes will be dedicated to signage style, and then the last 10 minutes, specific landscaping ideas. So I'm opening the floor to everybody, and please share your inputs, your ideas, suggestions.
Gone, this is Cecily. I have just a quick question about the survey. Is it going to remain open? And when, if it is going to remain open? How long will it be open, or is it closed now?
So the survey is closed as of October 30th. It was just an initial survey just to get, a taste of what the community think of the focus area. We will have more detailed surveys as we go through the study. Like, for example, what we are discussing right now about, I just wanted to hear what the members think about, specific materials and colors, signage and landscaping that will fit the focus area.
Gone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is Linda Dorsey Walker. I submitted my survey. I submitted really detailed recommendations of what I thought needed to be done. I don't know if I can stay on the call for the full length since I have another meeting that's going on at this time. But I shared with you also verbally some of the things that I thought were current drawbacks. For example, on Liberty Road, the length of the area that you're talking about, there is an unusual amount of overhead wiring that remains that's very unsightly and very dated. It looks like a throwback to the 1950s and 60s, whereas in the neighborhood I live in, there's no wiring. So obviously, a decision was made to bury the cable. Why is it that more of the cable can't be buried up and down the length of Liberty Road? Also, I shared with you that on one occasion, driving up Liberty Road, one of those wires broke loose and spun around wildly while several cars and the people in those cars were almost electrocuted.
Yes, Miss Linda. We did talk about those overhead wiring. Again, since we are working on the design guidelines for future development, streetscape is part of the element. So we can discuss terms of like future development, whether those wiring should be underground in that focus area, because that's the first part of the study. So I'm writing down. I have put a note about overhead wiring.
Hello, this is Sheila Lewis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Miss Sheila.
I like the warm color palette, particularly the natural stone. And I like that, I gravitate towards that because there is so much of that, of course, in fieldstone. And also, if you drive up and down Liberty Road, you will see like the church that we're talking about at Rolling Liberty Road. It's that you will see several residential houses with that. And even when you go to the intersection of Liberty and Milford Mill, the Walgreens and I think the Milford Mill center where the Alco is, they have those half walls with that kind of stone feature. And maybe by trying to use that palette, not overly done, but in a tasteful way, so that some kind of cohesiveness comes to the architecture of the Liberty Road area.
Okay, so mix some natural stones as part of the facade.
Yes.
Yes.
Can maybe discuss, because I know like in Honeygo, 70% of the facade, of the front facade has to be brick. So we can maybe discuss the percentage that needed to be on the facade in terms of natural stone.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you like to see the natural stone, Ms. Sheila, only on the front facade, I guess?
Well, I think it would depend on the structure. For example, if you're at the shopping center where the Rite Aid is, they have those pillar support and they're just plain. But maybe if they were covered with that stone, it will bring a little bit more warmth to the area. And another architectural feature, I don't know, is appropriate here, is not necessarily stone, but when we're talking about maybe some planters, particularly when you're talking about shopping centers, some large planters, to add some color and some enticing vegetation and some greenery to those areas, make them more attractive and more conducive for maybe people will hang around a little longer and shop a little longer.
I had also brought that up as well, that we should try to, well, especially since there's a lot of properties that are not fully occupied at this time, let's try not to build right on up to the street curb, but have more setback. And in part of that setback, have like some stone planters with large plants. And I referenced the special program. The special initiative started about 12 or 15 years ago in Chicago, where it's a ecosystem program where they've totally beautified the northern half of Chicago by putting all these wonderful planters that they change the plants in seasonally, and they earn money to buy new plants by selling the fully developed plants back to the members of the communities that live in those areas. So it's a self-sustaining program that has totally changed the look of Chicago from when I went to grad school there.
Okay, and I would like to ask, what do you all think about the brick, the terracotta brick and the stained wood? Would you like to see some type of combination, or just natural stone is all you would like to see there?
This is India. I say combination, but I do want to also ask a question. Is the county considering looking at environmental materials such, going green? An example would be the use of hempcrete.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any of those options?
I mean, we're here to discuss those options. If you would like to see those options in the focus area, now is the time to discuss those.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I think it could serve, if we were to do it right, it could serve as a model for other communities.
Right.
And just like what Linda, the suggestion that she had, this eco-friendly planning system. And, also it goes back to one of my concerns I raised before is, we'll do this beautification, but the maintenance of it is so important because, that it can get overgrown. Is the county going to make sure they maintain this stuff and keep it beautiful?
Well, see, this is going to be on private properties, on the shopping centers. If we're talking about, are we still talking about architectural, or you have moved to another topic, to another design element?
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, for architecture, the property owner is responsible to for maintaining their property. Landscaping, it depends whether it's on county right of way or if it's on the on private property.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't it true that the first 15 feet setback from the curb is all county property, even if people actually use it as their private property, it's still county property. That's the area in which the people in Chicago actually put these giant planters. And I also had suggested, because I know I took to the county several months ago, a proposal that we tried to do a solar test pilot in the Randallstown area, a special lighting that would be self-sustaining and other kinds of elements that you would put on windows and also the street surface that would actually allow the county to generate revenues from the solar collectors that would be part of all of that. And so I don't know if you're open to considering that, but I think we've got to come up with ways of becoming more sustainable communities, eco-friendly communities, and the county still has over its head a requirement that at least 25% of its power generation be cut back and become
Miss Linda, we cannot hear you anymore. All right, I think we need to mute. All right, I have muted Miss Owens. Miss Linda, please unmute yourself.
Okay, did you hear any of what I said about sustainability, sustainable community?
Yes.
And having the area be used as a pilot for solar renewable energy efforts just along that strip that we're talking about. And I had taken that to the county a while ago, and there are some incubator programs that are ready to test pilot such things in a small contained area such as that, that would save tremendous amounts of energy for just self-sustaining street lights, smart surface on the streets, and also on the window coverings as well, a special glaze on the window that would allow these things to become solar collectors, and the county would actually be able to generate a new energy revenue source. So I think we need to be considering the fact that right now, Railtown has not always had a special image, but maybe if we become the smart community, you know, the smart energy community, and build some of these elements into it.
Yes, it's very important, and I have made notes of that. Any other suggestions for architecture, colors, and materials?
The only thing I have to say about the warm stained wood, it looks like it's a very modern take, but it looks like also a look that can also quickly become outdated. So like the natural stone, seem like that, that has stood up over time, depending on how it's used. But I would be cautious about using what I'm seeing as that sample for warm stained wood, because in 20 years, something built like that might look outdated, and I would rather have something that would stand up over the period of time.
Okay, I hear you. So is everybody agree that if we should see materials, it should be a combination of brick and stone?
Natural stone.
So
I have a comment.
Yes.
Sorry, just Cecily, really quickly. I think also it might be a little misleading because the warm stained wood.
I have a
Warm
comment.
stained wood is not a zoomed in. It's suggesting the architectural style, whereas the natural stone and terracotta brick are just samples of the material. So I think if we're showing warm stained wood, it should just be zoomed in, much like the other materials.
That's true. Yes. But do we still want to see any type of wood for future development, or just brick and stone?
I think we should keep all options open.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure.
I'd like to make a comment.
Who is that?
This is Mildred Owens.
Hi, Mildred.
Hi, to everyone. The comment I had was about the warm stained wood. Were you speaking about this particular color for I-95 all the way up through Greens Lane on Liberty?
We're just talking about a combination of colors and materials, not specifically throughout the whole focus area. But for the warm colors, these are the this is what was identified.
Okay, it's the reason why I was asking, because I did see the natural stone is similar to the Quarry Lake, and it really looks nice. Looking at this picture, if I had seen this natural stone, I don't know if I would have selected that as the best color. But after seeing it in person and going a few times and looking at it, I really like the look, and it looks distinguished, it's friendly, it's something like, it's inviting, and it's calming. The warm stain wood, for me, I would have to see, it's something that it seems as though you get tired of looking at after a while if you got everything that same color. Even if everything in the shop is in that same color, it'll start looking like it's getting dated or something. It's something about that color that if you don't see it, how it's set up or what's around it, or you almost got to beautify that color. So for me, the natural stone is better.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other suggestions, ideas for architecture? I would like to move to
Yeah,
signage.
if you use the natural stone highlighted by cast iron railings and fencing, black cast iron, it looks really upscale.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, architecturally, at Owings Mills, what is it, Foundry Row, they now have, and also in Towson, the special brick on the ground, like a special design. So there's like a key intersection at Old Court Road and Liberty Road,
Yes.
up to the hospital and library and so forth. Can we do a special street display of brick, of special stone or brick in a fancy design set back for like a block or two in in all four directions that would make you feel like you're at a real entry point?
Okay, so we're talking about design elements for the for future development. And then we are for now we are only focusing on the shopping centers. I think we need those are great ideas, but I think for now we need to focus on how we can beautify and give a style and an identity to the shopping centers in terms of future development, and how we can have a guidelines set for those developments. I just wanted to remind everybody, but those are great ideas.
And then we also have some additional, before you move on, comments in the chat about from Danielle Smith, that natural stone or the terracotta brick will not look outdated. And from, I don't know if it's a Mr. or Mrs. Nathan's to everyone, stone highlights from the Fieldstone neighborhood. It also complements Life Bridge color and their building materials. And then Danielle Smith, a combination would look beautiful. And then someone else commented about natural stone and terracotta brick combination would look good.
Okay. Thank you, Amy.
Sure.
Okay, so
and
next,
yes. Oh, this is Devon. I don't know why. I can't change my name. It says owner on it. I've been trying to figure out how to change it, but it won't change. But anyway, I'm Devon Parks, Stony Brook Community Association president. I think I agree with everybody saying, but I also feel that we need to set ourselves apart from the Owens Mills, the Towson, the Hunt Valley, whatever name. We need to find common ground that we can have our own identity and be different. We don't want to look like the other neighborhoods or the other shopping centers. So what I'm looking at is something that makes us stand out and makes us look different, so that when people do come to Randallstown, that they know they're in Randallstown and they know that, hey, they haven't seen this before. Oh, this is really good. You know, like somebody was saying earlier, you know, inviting and, you know, that makes you want to come and shop. And that's what I'm looking for in the area.
Thank you, Ms. Devon. I think that's a great input, and I think that's the whole goal for this study, is to come up with a unique identity for Randallstown. You know, I think that's great.
Hello,
Yeah.
Nicole. Hi, this is Danielle Smith. So I agree, but I'm looking at longevity. So the warm stained wood is beautiful. It looks good. So would the county come out on periodically on a regular basis to make sure the upkeep, the wood looks good if it starts coming out, if over the years with the weather damage as far as with snow and the winds, you know, you just don't want something to look like it's going to tear it down, because I've seen that in other communities before, and after a while, if it's not maintained, it doesn't look good. Or even getting a combination with the warm stained wood, because it's beautiful and it would make us stand out and look a little different from what you see in Baltimore County. But at the same time, we have to think about how it's going to look as far as longevity. How is it going to look over 10, 15, 20 years? And if it's going to be maintained, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Well, it will be it will be up to the property owner to maintain their own facade. But we do have programs in Baltimore County that helps with facade improvement.
So another question then, since you said that, if it's up to the property owner, because we all know how that is as homeowner association individuals, would there be any thing put on individuals as far as if they don't take care of the property or if they don't keep it up? That's the only problem, because everyone else or every other house or every other building or office or community could look good. So that's my only thing.
Yeah, I mean, we have code enforcement to enforce those, you know, if a property is dilapidated or like, you know, like dangerous for the community, we do have code enforcement and we can cite, you know, give citation. But other than that, it would be up to the property owner.
But is it something that you can maybe bring up to see if there is another alternative? Because as such as if when they get a contract to become a tenant, that should be part of their contract, to have the beautiful flowers in the big vase, and that should be something that, you know, should be discussed to see if they really want to keep up the community. They have to, every tenant has to have one of those big pots of beautiful flowers and maintain it. Or, you know, that way that's already in their contract. It's just like, you know, when you rent a house, you know, you got to keep the filters up.
Yeah.
That's something that, you know, I was thinking that if we could even bring that up, because it's harder to, you know, depend on them to do that. That means you're going to have to use code enforcement. You already know that they are not dependent on the tenant. They might not do it, and they do it when they feel like it. And then when code enforcement gets on, and by the time they leave again, we got to call code enforcement back again. But when you look at a lot of the other shopping areas, they evidently have someone that's doing this, because it seems as though it's done for it. All of it is consistent, and all of the nice, clean, beautiful plants and flowers are well kept. And
yeah, that's really good ideas. But I would like to move on to signage now, just to make sure that we cover everything in the next time that we have left.
Okay.
I would like to open the floor for signage discussion. As part of the survey, 62% of the participants says that the signage in the focus area is dated. 11% says that it's out of character, and 10% says that it's overdone. What would you like? What type of signage would you like to see in the focus area? I don't have any pictures, but we can maybe just talk about style, height, and so forth.
This is Sheila Lewis. One thing I noticed about the signs, when we took the tour, I'm not certain all the signs are in compliance. Some of them seemed overly large, and there was a lot of inconsistency, especially when you came to the shopping centers. Sometimes you didn't know you were going into a shopping center, you just thought it's a group of stores. And sometimes it was just a group of stores, but the signage on it was the colors were so loud and, just doing it. And it was kind of offsetting. So I think that to have some guidelines or some specific guidelines of how the signage should be maintained. We taught the sizes, whether it's going to be illuminated, those type of things. I think there needs to be some consistency because it's all over the place on Liberty Road now.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila. Anybody else?
I agree with the caller. I mean the person that just spoke. But I also I like the idea of there's an area when you get ready to turn where you can. I'm not sure. Can you all hear me or sound muffled?
Somebody is not muted.
Oh. Okay. But anyway, what I was getting ready to say, that was a great idea. But in addition to that, I like the what I've seen in the idea of when you turn in and you have the island in the turn in into the mall or the shopping center rather, you see what's there. And then even in addition to maybe Liberty Plaza, just say for example, you see Liberty Plaza and then you see the name of the other stores in the shopping center. And in some cases, you have the ones that's on the left of the turn in. There's right in front of the street, there is a list of all of the ones on the left. And then just before you turn in on your right, you see the list of all of the ones on your right of the shopping center. And it really lets you know what's there. You can see it real good. And plus the island, when you turn in, if you have those beautiful plants around it, it looks beautiful and it looks inviting and like opening up your arms to come on in, we have something here that you like. That's what my comments are.
Thank you, Ms. Owen.
One of the questions that I have is, I know we were talking about entering into shopping centers. Some of the businesses on Liberty Road, for example, there's a muffler place just before you get to Orphan and Liberty Road, and they have like homemade signs. It really looks bad. When we start getting the shopping centers to repair their signage and things like that, are we also looking at the businesses that are on Liberty Road that have signages that are really look bad and really detrimental to our community?
Yeah, so phase one is the Central Park with only shopping centers. This study will require additional phases to to cover the rest of Liberty Road and also look at other use on Liberty Road. But for this time, we are only focusing on central part of Liberty Road and just shopping centers.
I have a question follow up with that. If there was a code enforcement sweep for the business on Liberty Road, because I mean, if a sign is out of compliance, it's out of compliance. I mean, right. To me, the fact that we're trying to do this and in steps, it might be helpful. And if there was a coding sweep to bring all the signs down that shouldn't be there to bring in compliance, it also may give us a better baseline to look and to assess about what needs to be done and how it should go forward. And I would really like to see a coding sweep go as quickly as possible because it's just too unsightly.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Ms. Gonay?
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking about the 8 shopping centers within the design, within the configuration that we have right now. And thinking about each one is different in terms of size and number of stores. And And the one sign that really captures my attention, which is rather attractive, is the one at Milford Mill Shopping Center, because of the height, the color, the list, the names of businesses delineated on that sign. And I think among the other shopping centers, the one where the library is at Rite Aid, that's probably the largest one with the greatest number of stores. So when Mildred Owens talked about a sign that can show to the right, let's say, for example, X number of stores, to the left, X number of stores, that could be a guideline for larger shopping centers. But I think in terms of height, we all should probably consider height, no matter what the shopping center is located. But then beyond the height of it, that would be the color and the number of stores and how they're displayed. But the one at Milford Mill Shopping Center is quite attractive.
And is that the one where Alco is?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay.
And you know, Ms. Owens mentioned also the islands there. And I know we're not doing landscaping, however, landscape and sign is kind of tying together.
Yes, we'll discuss landscaping next.
Yeah, but I think in terms of height, you know, the height is really great where it's not too tall, not too short. And the only other different one that's different from everybody else is the one where Walmart is, because Walmart sits way back, but then it has a sign where the island is at Liberty Road. So that makes it quite unique.
Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind that with signage, height is being regulated by Baltimore County zoning regulation. I'm not sure whether or not we have someone from the zoning office today, Mr. Perlow. But we have to keep in mind the zoning regulation and what we can and cannot do.
Yeah, I don't see Jeff on here tonight. Unless he's
Okay. Yeah, but we can bring that up in another meeting as we specifically focus on one element.
One other thing about the sign, when we're talking about the sign for the shopping center, I think it would be the Liberty Crossroads Center where the food line is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that signage was also attractive. And I think one of the things that made it so was that it was built of the same type of materials as the buildings in that shopping center was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's maybe why it might seem very attractive, because it was a cohesiveness to that shopping center.
Yeah, that one was really nice.
To reinforce Ms. Lewis's observation there too, is right near that sign for that shopping center is the third and final of the nodes. When Jim Smith was county executive, he had a program called Renaissance in Other Communities. And he came to our area, he went down to Lockern and called that one Node 1 up by Croydon. Inside the Beltway is the second node, and the third one is right near Wells Fargo Bank. But if you look at that building material, that's that natural stone. And Ms. Lewis, that's why I believe the one at where Wells Fargo is quite complementary, and it complements the shopping center there, because it too ties into the natural stone that was used when those nodes were put in back when Jim Smith became county executive's first term.
Okay. Any other input on signage?
Let me go through the chat real quick. Let's see, there were some comments, there was some conversation there, but just for folks who haven't looked at it, I think Cicely commented back to Danielle that regarding maintenance, trying to make sure that we look at alternative materials to wood for exterior that are more, that hold up longer and require less maintenance. Let's see. And there's a question, will this be a requirement for the shopping center to revitalize? And what is the budget set for each shopping center? I think as Gane has mentioned, this is just sort of an exercise in developing some guidelines for encouraging revitalization or redevelopment of these shopping centers. At this time, there's no set budget. There's a variety of options for funding available or assistance from the county or the state. But, at this point, there's no, kind of big pot of money sitting out there to hand over. Folks concurring that the signage should have a unified look. And I think that is it for the chat about signage.
Thank you, Amy.
Sure.
Next 10 minutes, I would like to talk about landscaping and landscaping ideas for the focus area. 83, I have to say that with the survey, 83% say that landscaping was inconsistent and sparse.
One thing, one of my observations about it at the shopping centers was the Liberty Crossroads Shopping Center. It might be one of the newer centers, but it's also one of the more attractive ones. And I think the reason why is because they have that wide area of greenery, of grass, between the sidewalk and the actual parking lots. And I think the shopping centers that are more attractive are ones that have that 10 to 15 feet of grass or some type of greenery between the sidewalk and the parking lots. I think adding that green natural texture to the community enhances the streetscape. And also when you get to the parking lots, some of them, most of them have no trees or shrubbery of anything, and they need to be broken up with more tree islands that will only also make it attractive. It would make the areas cooler. It would be an ecological thing because trees will help to, clear the air and that kind of thing. And I think it's really, really important to start requiring more trees and tree islands and landscaping in the parking areas to break up all that asphalt, not just along the edges as we see with so many parking lots.
Thank you, Miss Sheila. Those are great input.
Yeah. Sheila, along that same line, this is Devon, it also helps to get the right kind of trees, because you don't want a bunch of trees that, shed for leaves and requires more work, I guess, if you have a bunch of leaves, because there are plenty of different types of trees that don't, shed.
Yeah, I'm sure Maryland DNR can be very helpful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other ideas?
And one more thing.
Yes, I was talking and I forgot I was muted. I just wanted to add, in addition to the ideas that were mentioned, I think that making certain that we have, I'm just a stickler for those flowers for in each area, colorful flowers or either all greenery, but something to give it a welcoming feeling when you go there. It's just that a lot of emphasis needs to be placed on the upkeep. But if you go to all the other shopping centers and all, whatever, if they have one person or two people or a company that's doing it, whatever, it should be something like an association fee for people to pay to pay somebody to get it done. But that will help beautify it, and it will give it'll give you a good feeling, and especially if you're at a restaurant and you're sitting outside having a snack or just talking to a neighbor. It just makes you feel more comfortable, and it makes you feel like things are kept up and it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that we should have and make certain that we have, instead of tar in every area of this for the roads within the community, within the shopping areas, maybe we have some stone road areas in certain places. And and that even keeps people from driving too fast over it, but it keeps a calm road for people who might be in the shopping center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that I just wanted to mention that. I did
Thank
want to
you.
mention one other thing. I don't know whether this is the right time to mention it or not, but I did want to mention that during the survey I had mentioned some additional things that I haven't heard anyone say anything about it, but might have thoughts about it. I think that where, and maybe it might have to be where I'm saying, but I think where Shoppers is right now, we need a hotel, because many of us have family reunions and we always have to send our family to Security, Ricestown, Owens Mills, or somewhere near for them to stay. But when you come off of any of the corridors, exits off of 695, they got 3 or 4 hotels.
Yeah. So
Some of
the
them have
goal,
more.
Ms. Owens, the goal of this study is to draft design guidelines. We are not really discussing the use on Liberty Road, which I mean I do understand that it's a very important topic to all of you. But I think we need to keep in mind that the goal is design guidelines in terms of, signage, architecture, and landscaping.
Okay.
I know this is on landscaping, but one of the things about the shopping centers, and this might work in landscaping because this might be near some of the landscaping designs, is a bench for sometimes for people to sit and relax, not just relax, but sometimes people might need it. I think this was one of the things we talked about during the tour. And I think we were at the library. We talked about how there were benches at the library, and appropriately they did have some bushes near it, which make it an attractive area. But those were benches all across that whole parking lot. And possibly somewhere incorporating with the landscaping design is a bench or two for people who might have to sit down for, doing while they're there.
Right. Yeah. So we did talk about incorporating benches in future development. And I know also that Ms. Owens had some ideas about lighting on the parking lot.
And I thought about it while when you mentioned it just a few minutes ago. I think that is really great for, especially with people with disabilities, because the light seems fine, but a lot of the shopping centers, when night comes, it's dark in some of those areas, and then it's dark, and especially some of the areas that have, where you have the disability areas to park. And if we had the lights that were just about the same height of a little over a car height, those lights would be shining closer. Because some of them now, I noticed that some people are trying to make it more convenient for people with disabilities, but they put more spaces, but it's dark for them. And if we had those beautiful lights that kind of hang over, look like they almost have a skirt around it or something, just with it enhances the shopping areas, plus it protects the people with disabilities more and make them feel more comfortable, especially those that are in wheelchairs and whatnot.
Yeah, great input. Thank you, Ms. Owens.
You're welcome.
Any other landscaping ideas?
Yes.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes, I'm thinking about the buildings that we looked at last week when you gave us the square footage of each of the shopping centers. And within the square footage of the shopping centers, we're going to see different numbers of parking spaces on the parking lots. So we might want to consider some guidelines that would say that for those shopping centers with X numbers of thousands of square feet with a certain number of parking spaces, then the guideline might say that within that parking space, we can create some islands with some trees. And now Ms. Owens talked about lighting. So within that island where there's some trees, we can also have some lighting there. To me, that would be a guideline to consider.
That's very nice. That's very good. And I think we also talked about having some sitting areas within those, you know, the parking lot that's not being used, turn those into, like you said, if we have enough square footage, have like those pocket parks within the parking lot.
So a guideline could also attach itself to benches.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great ideas.
We do have some comments in the chat related to landscaping. Let's see. I think Cecily was just trying to point out, you know, that we do typically try to look at native and adaptive plant species, try to encourage using those instead of invasive. They typically hold up better, and they're, you know, kind of better for purposes of water filtration and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. She also noted about trees near sidewalks or in front of retail. It's very important to make sure those are kept trimmed or limbed up so that you can easily, you know, see the buildings behind them. You can see the signage and that type of thing, which is something that we know businesses are always concerned about, who can see their sign. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Planting areas can help with stormwater management, which I think goes back to some things I was mentioning earlier about the native species, and you can design them as rain gardens and bioswales. So it kind of looks like a landscape strip, but it has different purposes, and, you know, can help also touch on some of the things you guys were mentioning earlier about environmentally friendly practices and sustainable practices throughout the corridor. Let's see what else. And then India Artis noted about encouraging evergreens so that there's some level of green in the area all year round. And then I believe Devon mentioned displaying the history of Randallstown or quotes from the people of Randallstown in the sitting areas. So that is something where, you know, if you want to encourage some public art, those kind of landscape sitting areas or gathering areas, you know, are definitely a good place to do that. And I think that's it.
Those are very good ideas. I think we got great ideas out of this meeting today. Great ideas. So it's about 7:10. I would like to move on. And I want to discuss the next meeting. So we do have some suggestions. For some of the members, the scheduled meeting date that we had do have some conflict with their schedule. So I'm proposing, instead of Tuesday, December 8th, I'm proposing Wednesday, December 9th, same time from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And then for the January meeting, instead of Tuesday, I am proposing Wednesday, January 13th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I wanted to see if everybody is okay with those proposed dates so far.
Those dates are good for me.
They're good for me.
Great, thank you.
They're good for me too.
Thank you. So I will send out a new meeting invitation with the new date. Please delete the scheduled meeting date, the old date. I will delete those so it's out of your calendar, off of your calendar. Great. Anybody have any questions? I think this was a very good meeting. I will put down all the ideas that we heard today, and I will email it to all of the members. And feel free to send me emails, you know, if you get more ideas. Don't hesitate. So the next meeting, I would like to specifically dedicate that meeting to maybe just architectural styles. And then the meeting for January, we can discuss signage and streetscape and landscaping. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Be safe.
Gloria Cooper Blue.
Happy
Has
Thanksgiving.
left the meeting.
Thank you.
A
Happy
participant
Thanksgiving.
has
Thank you,
left the
good night.
meeting.
Happy
Thank
holidays,
you.
Thanksgiving.
Great
Stay safe
meeting.
and well.
Thank you.
Everybody stay safe, stay well, and stay sane.
Okay, same here.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bishop Barry Chapman.
Has left the meeting.